Your media, where you are. So many demands on you. Demands at home, in the boardroom, and in the bedroom. You have to be jack of all trades, wearing a different hat when the moment arises. You're on all the time, always on the clock, always catching up. Take care of you. Introducing Your Media, your podcast network that meets you where you are, when you need it, at your time, in your space, when you feel like it. You come first. Your Media, where you are. Getting up close and intimate. Totally Not Taboo with Tracy. Celebrating sexual positivity both in and outside the bedroom.
Hi, learner lovers. Welcome to Totally Not Taboo with Tracy. This is where we get to talk about everything sex and sexuality. This is at Your Media, hashtag where you are. Today we're talking to Leanne Walker, excuse me, from an organization called Be True to Me. Leanne is a parent of two awesome kids, trans woman, a businesswoman, and a community leader. She is a passionate person to the trans and gender diverse community. Leanne is the founder and leader of the Be True to Me nonprofit organization, an organization established to support trans and gender diverse people, be they trans, non-binary, intersex, or questioning. She is also the director of her IT company, providing IT consultation and services. Leanne is a member of the WPATH, which is the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, and TPATH, Transgender Professional Association or Transgender Health International Organization. Professionally, Leanne is a senior IT consultant, working mainly with large corporates with 25 plus years of experience, including SME, government, national and provincial corporates. She transitioned into womanhood, a journey which is never complete, meeting most of her key goals. Leanne is also a consultant, public speaker, an experienced panelist, a counselor, and media representative. So we are thrilled to have you today on Totally Not Taboo at Your Media, hashtag where you are. And today we're going to be talking to, sorry,
Yeah,
you were
thank you very
saying,
much for the warm welcome.
absolute pleasure. So we're going to be talking about transgender experiences. And we're looking forward to hearing about your organization together with your own crossing over experience. So, Leanne, what I'd like to find out from you is, when did True to Be Me start?
Be True to Me. Yeah, we started probably 2015 as just a group of people getting together, like-minded, sharing life experiences, and sort of 2016, 2017 became a lot more organized, and then late 2017 became a legally registered nonprofit organization. So we've been going for, into our 6th year now. You lose count, especially with this pandemic.
Yeah, fantastic. And during the pandemic, did you actually go online? You must have.
So we definitely have pivoted to the online space. Social media, Facebook, WhatsApp has always been a great way of connecting with people. But yeah, in terms of not having our meetings in person, we pivoted online, and it's been such an amazing journey, and how things have just exploded. And it's, we have sessions we've got people from 6 different provinces in a Zoom support session. Something we probably wouldn't have dreamt of a couple years back. So yeah, it's really worked out.
So there's been definitely pros and cons to COVID in terms of outreach.
Sure. Obviously the divide is so huge, and lots of people don't have access to data in this country. Uh, and just looking at our demographics, a lot of trans people are poor, low income, or under resourced. So even getting data to come online is such a challenge. So yeah, so the con is we obviously missing out on a lot of touching lives that we normally could, and going to places. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's the pro that we have been able to pivot online and reach even more people that way.
Mm. How many centers do you have around the country?
So centers is probably the wrong word to use. We tend to go wherever people ask us, and land up in making use of community facilities, um, and buildings and those kind of things. So yeah, Cape Town, Joburg, Bloem, KZN, uh, and then we go on the road, wherever
Right.
we're invited to.
Okay. So you don't, so you, even though you have support groups, your support groups travel, in other words.
Yeah, we definitely had a couple of spaces in Gauteng that we had as our fixed locations,
Mm.
um, and just partnering with organizations to use their facilities.
Okay. Now I'm getting more of an idea. So what led you to start this organization? What was the motivation?
So I think the basic was just to be able to meet everyone, and have a shared life experience. Um, there was also a very big need into just actually finding out information. Um, and sort of 6 years ago, information was very hard to come by, especially with the South African context. Just finding a medical provider that you can engage with, was really a challenge. Um, and so it was just sharing our experiences, and experiences as transitioning, experiences with providers, and just sharing. Yeah, life, I guess, is the best way to say it.
Mm.
It's a community.
Yeah, I get that. Um, what has changed over the years in terms of society's perceptions of of the trans community, and also the nature of the individuals within the trans community? If that makes sense.
Sure, two big questions.
Yeah.
I'm going to start the second question. I think access to information, number one. Number two, awareness, and media attention. And some of it isn't positive. Um, and there's a lot of negativity and kickbacks, and those kind of things. And we can see that especially out of, dare I say, the conservatives, um, that are fighting. But that has allowed a lot of people to, social media, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, um, Twitter. Um, Hopefully, I'm getting them all. Um,
LinkedIn.
and to use that to connect with people and find out things. So definitely that has helped, from a point of view. I think, that a general acceptance has also been really great. We and one of the cool things is so many people, who, if I dare say, my age, or younger, um, s- well, not so much younger, you know, in the 90s and 80s and even the early 2000s, you didn't really know what to do. So you only transitioned later in life, where now access to info is really easy. So younger people are coming out, and including our young people. Um, and our South African constitution is such an awesome constitution, and allows for non-discrimination in of anyone for any reason. Um, and it's nice to see some move in certain sections of government acknowledging that that openness is there, and we continue to engage at various levels, to let people get access. Um, I could get into a bit of a political thing there, but let me stop at that point. The second about society, I touched a bit on about some of the conservative, um, and that South Africa is an open society. We're not in a um, dictated by certain beliefs or norms or anything like that. And our constitution is very open. You have freedom of religion, and that religion choice is your choice and what religion you follow. Um, but so often, many people try and use various belief systems, and I'm using religion particularly, but there's all other belief systems to suppress trans people's rights, and trans rights are human rights.
100%.
Um, I think the other really important thing is the World Health Organization, along with W Path. There's been a concerted effort that we depathologize, nice big word, they take out the medical diagnosis of being trans. And being trans isn't a mental illness, as so many people seem to think.
Mm.
And the World Health Organization have very clearly uh, use that language that it isn't a mental illness.
That's a big hallelujah for so many
Absolutely.
different sexual choices today.
Yeah.
For sure. So, my perception of transgender people is that it is still very much taboo and still very much eyebrows are being raised. However, it's definitely more prominent in terms of the younger generation, as you mentioned. There is a lot more, should I say, maybe acceptance of the idea that I am now different. I don't feel that I'm in the right body. I don't feel that I am in line with the gender assigned to me at birth. And I feel more like a girl than a boy, or feel more like a boy than a girl, even though these are the genders assigned to me at birth. And there seems to be a little bit more tolerance from my perspective. That's why I ask these questions, but yet it's still a taboo topic. Would you agree?
So I guess it's a hard question to answer. It's taboo for those that make it taboo. It's not taboo because it should be taboo. Um,
Yes.
and we can go back and say slavery was a taboo topic, but now we look back in history and go, what were they thinking? Kind of thing. Um, and it's why are we suppressing people? Because why? You were made to believe that, and so that's one of the things we want to talk about as an organization, as a community, is to say, why stop it? There's no reason to.
Of course. You and I
So
think like that as well, but not
and
everybody else think. We're sex positive thinkers. We think out of the box. We allow people to express themselves the way they wish, and we are far more tolerant of people's
sure,
differences to live and feel and love as they wish to. But not everybody is so free.
sure. Here's a wonderful quote, and I forget the source of it, and we guess you could Google search it. We can't agree to disagree on trans issues because disagreeing with the validity of someone's identity is discrimination,
Of course,
not
absolutely.
disagreement. It impacts our rights. So if we agree it's a taboo topic, we are discriminating.
Yeah.
And so the human rights in me, the human rights activist, comes and say, hey, let's just stop this language. Sorry, I'm not that. Yeah, the positivity is there. And what we can agree that hopefully we can agree that discrimination, judgment, hatred should be a taboo topic.
They should
Why
be
do we
taken
accept
out of
it?
the language. We should be teaching our children not to say things like hate, disgust, disgusting. We should actually just not allow our children to use such strong, opinionated words. And so that's really what I think, to be
Absolutely.
more minded, for sure.
So me as an activist, my immediate gut response is let's change the language and the question.
Absolutely. And yeah, I suppose we are allowed to express our feelings about things, and that allows us to have conversation. But as you said, let's ask the questions before we make up our minds about things. And that's how we can evolve as a society. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
it's by
for
having
sure.
conversations like this.
Absolutely. Um, and I think it's just important to remember we don't make decisions lightly.
Mm.
Many of us have thought through this. We have considered where we are going, what we are doing. We know what this will do
Mm.
and the way people will react. And that's why it's so freaking excited to get started and to go on this journey. Um, and it's a journey. Trance is such a lovely word. Um, trance comes from transport. It goes from transition. It means you transgender. It means to transition. It just means that there's so much to that word and the experience. Um, that's such a beautiful experience. And it's not something. We were talking about this in a group that we hate to use the word. Uh, it was your choice. It's not your
Mm.
choice. Um, yeah, if you can choose whether you're going to eat chicken or beef or vegetarian kind of thing. Um, but sometimes red meat doesn't agree with people, and you need to not eat it. And so life throws you a choice. And I'm thinking of this example as I'm talking, so I have no idea where I'm going with this. But yeah, I think sometimes you get forced into eating habits because of allergies or something. I think you get what I'm trying to say. I hope.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that, as you were saying, the word trance for me sounds like journey, and it's movement. It's movement from one place to the next, from A to B. Sometimes it takes longer, and there are consequences along the way.
And if you want to go from here, from Joburg to Cape Town, you can go straight on the N1. You can drive to Durban, go around the coast. You can do various ways to get there. Um,
Can-
and so that the same with life. It's a journey. And sometimes you walk down a road and you go, well, this wasn't the right road for me. I'm going to turn around, go back and try something else. And we can apply that to in various aspects to life, including a transition, including marriage, including life partners, including orientation, including sex
Career.
position, careers. Yeah, I'm trying to add the sex angle to it. But yeah, absolutely.
Anything, any choices. But yes, I suppose, as you were saying about choice, um, sexuality is how you were born, your choice. Or not your choice. It's how you were born, how you wish
Yes.
to engage in sexual experiences. It's not really okay. So yeah, we're getting caught up in words, but it's really how you were born. I know that I was born to engage, I like men, and nothing's going to change that. Yeah. So let me ask you another question here. Tell me about your works in schools, with the schools, and I love that. What message do you send to the schools?
So I think the important thing that we just need to remember um, is that everyone is valid, um, and not everyone is the same, and that schools can't try and force people into one world order of thinking. If I use a big word there, um, and I think that's one of my opening lines, is just to say, we need to bring the uniqueness out of everyone, and that's why society works. You know, there's the body. You have a hand, you have a foot, you have a mouth. Um, you know, you can't exactly pick everything up with your knees. Well, you can, but your hands are a little more effective, etc. And so that's the same with society. Is every person's got a unique contribution and looks different. Your hand looks different to your foot, kind of thing. And so that's important things about schools, is to say, hey, let's work and bring out the best of people, because that's how we grow as society. Is when the best of everyone comes out. Um, yes, and that sounds philosophical, but yeah, that's core to my belief, and our organization goal is to bring out the best in everyone. Um, and yeah, if you're not in a good space, you're not going to be able to be the best you are, kind of thing. Um, the one of the greatest things that says, have respect for your neighbor, have respect for your fellow people. Um, but if you can't respect yourself, how do you respect someone else? Um, and so self-respect and self-love is such an important thing. Um, and and you can go into many conversations around that. Um, is that so many women are taught not to love their body or know their body, uh, and and that's such an important thing. Is that it's your body, and you need to know what you want for your body, and so that applies in life, I guess. Um, Back to schools. Yeah, there's two kind of levels. Working with individual schools, being involved at conferences with principals or school governing bodies, or those kind of things. But both in the private school setting, as well as in public school setting, from the state. And it's a real um, frustration, but also joy to be able to work at those kind of levels. Um, you've got a lot of walls to get through, and a lot of red tape, and a lot of things, but we're slowly making progress. And yeah, it's taken 3 years, but it was really positive to hear our Minister of Education say that trans rights are human rights, and that the Constitution of South Africa is a non-discriminatory constitution. I don't think she said it publicly, but that was communicated to us in one of our interactions with the department. So I think that as long as that conversation continues to happen, that is cool.
Yeah.
And I think as South Africans, we don't want to dictate to the rest of the African continent. We want to just say, hey, this is what we're doing, and sort of help. Um, and I'm very conscious of that. That we're not here to enforce our beliefs, but I think that South Africa is trying to look to be a shining light to Africa.
It's
And,
like the
and human
pebble.
rights is,
Sorry, carry on.
No, so I was going to say our human rights within South Africa is a real important part of how we can shine light into Africa, and I'm saying shining light, but just being a beacon, I guess. And we can learn a lot of things from other societies, but I think there is a lot of discrimination that happens within the African context, as well as other countries in the world. Um,
Yeah. But I like that the analogy of the pebble effect. You know, you drop a pebble in the water and then the circles expand. And so we can only start the effect of change, but it has to start somewhere.
exactly,
So as you say, we start in South Africa and hope that the rest of the continent catches up. No.
exactly.
We have to take an ad break. And we were talking about bodies. And so let's talk about bodies. And we all know that summer bodies are built in winter, but that can be easier said than done. So why not join fitness expert Mo on the Health Fix with Mo for an inspirational weekly fitness podcast show for fitness novices. Mo chats to the best in local health and fitness experts in an effort to get information to help you achieve your aesthetic fitness and health goals. Subscribe on YouTube, listen on any good podcast platform, or find it on www.yourmedia.co.za. Your Media, hashtag where you are. Thank you. So, Leanne, what cisgender people, what cisgender people can do, what can we do to assist the transgender community? And if you
So I
can
think
just
the first, yeah.
explain what
So what are
cisgender people
cisgender
are.
people?
Yes, exactly.
And it's a conversation you're like, okay, well, cis and trans are just good old Latin words that trans says on the opposite side, and cis means on the same side. So cis, you're basically agreeing to your gender assigned at birth, and trans that you're not. So that's the first kind of thing. Um, I think the first kind of important thing is uh, to know that trans people are people, and everyone is just a person. Um, and secondly, being human doesn't mean that our life is just consumed by transition. We still got to eat, we still got to go to work, we still do all the things everyone else does. And so sometimes the conversation, yeah, we can talk about books and gardening and sport and whatever, cars, um, as well, or cooking. So yeah, I think that's the other nice thing is that, yeah, have conversations with trans people, hear their life experience, and acknowledge that, but also just have conversations.
Don't be afraid. As you said, everybody's human or people.
Exactly, exactly.
So, Leanne, would you like to share with our audience about your personal journey?
Uh, Sure. Okay. Um, I, have always, as I alluded to earlier, I'm not super young anymore. I'm in my 40s, and um, back in the 90s, you didn't have access to information. Uh, I knew something didn't add up, but being brought up in a very conservative kind of world, yeah, you don't know where to start looking, and you go through all life, just trying to be, I guess, what the world expected of you, um, and had a really good uh, relationship, have had children, um, and that's great. My marriage didn't survive, but I still have a very good relationship. I've got two teenagers, who are fast becoming young adults, which is scary but very exciting. And that's a very quick summary. Um,
Yeah.
if I had to go back and say, I always talked about my feminine side, and that always had its moments, and the realization that that's what or who I am and where I'm going, and you can't put that into a bottle and keep it away forever. Um, and so I've always had this transition and various levels of social transition over the years, um, and and in 2015 said uh, it's all or nothing kind of thing, um, and so that's where I really got into my transition in a serious way. Um, had some awesome medical providers uh, who helped and through the journey.
Mm. So I'm sure it wasn't all positive. I'm sure there were many, many challenges and mountains that you had to climb. Are there
Yeah,
any
absolutely.
specifics that you can share with us?
Yeah, look, I think one of the realities many trans people face is the rejection. My family rejected me, and don't accept who I am, and that's hard to know that that's something that's happened. Um, and but I think it's yes, you lose some friends along the way, um, but you gain so many more, and that's really great. And your family is those that are there to support you. It's not all necessarily about blood. Um, and it was a fascinating um, sideline to this. That there's an expression that family is family blood is thicker than water, um, and and that expression, if you actually look at the history of it, it was talking about soldiers, how they bond together was the strongest bond of each other, and not the actual physical bloodline of a family. Um, and that just became so strong in my mind to say, um, yeah, I can do this. And yeah, there's definitely roadblocks along the way. Uh, there, there's huge amounts of discrimination. Even 5 years ago, um, you know, that the discrimination and people look at you in ways that you cannot explain,
Mm,
um, and it's not pleasant or
mhm.
enjoyable.
Were there times that you wanted to hide away, for example, while you were going through the physical changes?
I got to the point where um, I come first, and um, oh, to myself, yes, I know I have responsibilities, and definitely stick to my responsibilities. But I do say, uh, one of my personal choices was to say to the community, um, I'm just going to do this. Um, yeah, yes, these days you want to hide away, and I know that's many people's experience. Yeah, there's no kind of magic sprinkle, and tomorrow things are different. It's a puberty. If you look at a puberty, it runs over a number of years, and transition is effectively just puberty, um, at a very core medical level, and it takes a while.
Mm. So you've got sometimes you've got puberty and gender questioning. Can we call it that in the younger generation?
Absolutely, and I think the first problem that society has is to think male or female, um, and we definitely know that um, we've got intersex people um, who have variance in sexual characteristics, be it genitalia, reproductive organs, hormone levels, etc. Um, Sometimes they'll have multiple genitalia, etc. And the estimates around 2% of the world population are intersex. Now you think, well, 2% is not that much. The Russian population is under 2%. The number of redheads are under 2%. So just a very quick, easy way of picturing it. And um, if you look back in ancient languages and cultures, the Samoans, have had intersex, or a third gender, as some people would want to call it, or a non-binary identity for um, centuries, if not millennia. Um, and I always get this wrong. The Hawaiian um, people, they can date it back at least 700 years. So it's not something that's new. If you go back into the Bible, you know, eunuchs and all that is described as people who don't identify in this male or female identity. And I think a lot of people, we've got to start there and to say that you don't have to have male or female um, from a pure identity. I always talk about gender identity. Who do I go to bed as? Your sexual orientation is who do I go to bed with? And my gender expression is how I express myself to the world, to myself, to those close to me. Um, and so if you're a guy and you want to wear a skirt, that's awesome. That's an expression. That's not going to make you male or female. Um, we have created this construct in society that if you're wearing a dress, you're a girl, kind of thing. And there's nothing at a gone losing that word, a physical layer to say that. So I
I love
deviate
that,
from the
Leanne. And
question.
I really love that. And can you just repeat that? It's identity is who you wake. Just
Who
say
you go
that
to
again.
bed as?
Yes,
So your gender
yes.
identity, who you go to bed as? Sexual
Identity.
orientation, who do I go to bed with
Yes.
or attracted to? Okay. And my expression is just how I present myself to the world, myself, and those close around me.
I love that.
And that
That's
doesn't
very,
have to be the same.
yeah. Yeah.
And I think going back to questioning,
Hmm.
um, people need to question things. Somebody might turn around and say, I want to be a fireman. And they get out of school and they go and be a fireman and they go, I hate this. I actually really wanted to be an accountant and go and study accountancy, kind of thing. And so that's, with any life choice, kind of thing. And that's why um, people date.
Mm.
Yeah, to choose a life partner. You don't. There are lovely stories where people meet their life partner in school and get married. I was at a wedding a couple of weeks ago of one of those stories, but that's not how most relationships are. You've dated many people over the years to choose your life partner, and so you questioning is a very valid thing. I think that's one thing we sort of uh, as society. I mean, one of the things I talk to schools about is let people question their identities, their orientation, their life partners, their careers.
Agreed. That's how we know whether we like cheesecake, chocolate cake, vanilla cake, etc. Leanne, just going back to your story, and obviously I don't want to get too personal and cross boundaries with you, but have your children accepted your lifestyle? Who you
Yeah,
are?
definitely. And I think they've seen that the positive in me, and that it brought me out into a good space. Um, and that's what I hope for. Um, it wasn't all sailing. Yeah, it's also very hard on them, with friends and family and those kind of things. Um, so definitely, um, I respect their privacy,
Mm.
and respect their choices. Um, but I think it's been a journey for them, and I think
Mm.
that's also an important comment is it's not only the transgender person who's transitioning; it's those around them transition with them, um, and that's something also my kids have been on that journey with me.
And they're educated. They have the vocabulary. They're well versed in um, how uh, to educate the public. And without your experience, they wouldn't be as enriched.
Exactly, and I think one of the important things is that language didn't come naturally. It was a journey for us to all learn it, both myself and for them. Um, so yeah, and I think that's one of the things we really want to do as an organization is provide that language, and that's part of our consulting work we do with schools or any organization, that we can help you understand the language, what language to use, and what it means, um, and that's
Yeah.
just sharing our experiences.
Then,
And we don't expect people to get it right, necessarily, and you're allowed to slip. What we don't want to accept is when people are disingenuous, where they are not genuine, um, or they're actually just hateful. That we'll never accept.
yeah, agreed. In terms of supporting family members, um, I assume you do that as well. How much of that do you do? Am I wrong? Correct me.
So yeah, absolutely. I think family members, parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, etc. Um, significant others. Um, is that we're there uh, to provide info and help them. Um, my first goal is always to support the trans people, um,
Mm.
and to make sure that they are protected. But yeah, no, we definitely and we have a very lively group of parents. Um, so parents of trans children. Um, we also um, do have parents, trans people who are parents. Um, it, I can get a bit mind twisting if you try and work this out.
No, that's like you, wouldn't it be? Like yourself.
Exactly.
Mm.
So,
Well,
so
it's
yeah,
been.
absolutely. And
Mm.
I think it's also important to remember that your children um, grow up to be adults. Um, and that parent guardian role changes into a support role. So, um, yeah, often have conversations with parents of of adults,
Mm.
children children to them, but adults to the world in
Mm.
transition, and just to remember that they are adults.
Yes,
And yes, they are your precious children. I do get that, um, but you're not their guardian anymore.
it's true. But we all need support. Young or
Exactly.
old, we all need support and love and nurturance, for
Yeah.
sure. Leanne, any parting words? Anything else that you'd like to leave our audience with?
Um, Thank you for the opportunity. I think it's I could talk hours on this. And but I think it's really just important for people to know that trans people um, are normal people, if I can use the word normal, um, and that people just want to get on with their lives, and live, and not to be ridiculed or um, judged. And I think that's what we need to understand, that as humans, is that let's build society together in a non-discriminatory way.
Beautiful. I love that. Thank you very, very much for taking the time to come and speak to me and for breaking the taboos and for speaking so openly and so honestly about your experience and about and really informing the public about Be True to Me and making your organization accessible to a lot of people. And if people want to get hold of you, how do they do so?
So the best way, have a look at our website, betruetome.org. There's a lot of content there. To get connected with the organization, drop us a WhatsApp. That's the easiest way to actually connect, and we'll just get you going with the various groups if you're a parent or if you're an ally. There's also groups on Facebook. So yeah, but WhatsApp is our primary contact means.
Yeah.
And works well. Yeah, I really just want to stress this point. We can't agree to disagree on trans issues because disagreeing is discrimination
Yes.
and not disagreement.
Agreed. Agreed completely. Thank you again, Leanne. Have a lovely, lovely day further. And we look forward to hopefully having you back again
Thank you.
with some more representatives, maybe of the organization, some more trans people who will be willing to share their experiences with us. We have spoken about these possibilities, so who knows in the future.
And if I can take the liberty here,
Yes.
we as an organization rely on the donations of kind people.
Yes.
Funding organizations like us is really difficult.
Sure.
So if you are able to give 50 Rand or 500 Rand or 5,000, 5 million, please. There's a donate on our website. So please, what anyone is able to do, we would appreciate that. There's lots
Awesome.
of work.
Please, our audience here, the really support trans organizations, especially this one, and support the process that trans people go through. It's a very difficult one, rewarding as it might be. The journey is quite difficult sometimes, most times. So we hear you. We honor you. Thank you so much, Leanne. All the
Thank you.
best. Bye.